Hello everybody, my name is EonShiKeno, and I'm going to cast a game today on Zelmaga Caverns between JSLzenith, our red Terran player, versus Jinro, our blue Terran player. Now, this is basically a round of 64 matchup for GSL Season 3. Both of these players have qualified for GSL Season 3. They're not actually scheduled to play each other. Actually, JSLzenith is supposed to play Kirix, a Zerg player, and I can't remember offhand who Jinro is supposed to play. But both very high-level players, and hopefully they'll have some high-level games right here. This is from Ladder, from the Korean Ladder server. So let me just talk a little bit about Jinro's TVT playstyle. I know his TVT a little bit better than I know JSLzenith's. I've seen, excuse me, I've seen Jinro open up with like one barracks into a factory with a reactor, get like 5 Hellions, and then transfer into an expansion. And sometimes I've seen him just do really standard stuff like 1-1-1 builds. But those Hellions are really cool opening. I'm not quite sure what the trigger is for him deciding which strategy he wants to do, whether what map it is or something like that. But we might see that here. But he is going for that second refinery very fast. Hasn't even started his factory yet, but is already getting that second refinery, so he may be going for something a little different. Starting that factory, barracks, hasn't started pumping any more Marines yet. Actually, there starts the Marine, and his opponent, JSLzenith, so let's check out what he's going for. Factory's a little bit quicker, and he has both of his gases already going, and the income is basically dead even right now. Both players holding one Zelmaga tower with a Marine each, and both scouting around with some SCVs. So very mirror match right now, and both players now sending each of the Marines back, the head in the middle, back to the base. So yeah, this is so eerily similar. So scouting, Jinro just looking for some maybe proxy buildings, and JSLzenith scouting for an expansion. And is going to see anything. He's going to probably try and run up the ramp here, but Jinro's got a nice concave. He's going to smoke that SCV. Totally dominated that fight. But JSLzenith working on some Marines. He's building a tech lab on his factory, building a starport. So he's probably going to swap that, get a, what was I thinking? Get a, blah, blah, blah. What am I thinking of? Banshee. Man, I totally went blank there. So Jinro has a Hellion out. I've seen Jinro go for like a 1 Hellion 5 Marine push, but it looks like he's going to switch this tech lab off this barracks and probably put it on that starport. And at the same time, he's just out here scouting in front, just keeping an eye on that type of any type of push out from GSL, or if there's an expansion coming. So one Banshee being produced by JSL and Cloak being researched, and at the same time Jinro going for the same thing. So pretty basic openings for each player here. He's going to try and scout with that Hellion, but no, gets shut down by those 5 Marines up there at the top. Jinro did make a bunker. I guess he was worried about maybe some type of early aggression, but it hasn't really came into effect yet. He just now finished that engineering bay, throwing up a reactor on his barracks. Probably going to start pumping out a lot of Marines. And actually throwing up 2 missile turrets, so did he see that? No, he hasn't seen that, but I guess he's safely assuming that a Banshee is coming, considering how defensive his opponent is playing. I don't think either player has thrown down a scan. Actually, there's the first scan from JSLzenith. Scanning, he's going to check out what's going on in the base. That was a really good timing on that scan. He saw that Banshee come out, and these Banshees are going to fly next to each other. And whoa, he's actually going around it. I guess he didn't see the scan or something. But anyway, JSLzenith's running straight in there. And Jinro trying to sneak around that, but he's going to come here and do some attacking. Raven is just about ready to pop out, so that's really going to help JSL out as soon as Cloak gets finished for Jinro. So that Cloak is going to finish, but it's really not going to be that much of an effect because there's more than enough Marines in here, and that Raven will be able to put the damper on this attack. He may be able to kill 1 or 2 SCVs, but already taking so much damage. Cloak does go, but oh no, he rallied his Raven way over here, so he's probably going to get 1 or 2 kills just from that Raven's taking its slow-ass time. Finally, wow, he's got quite a few kills. There's 3 kills already, and at the same time, JSL isn't running his Banshee, and I guess he's too preoccupied trying to defend his base. And Jinro just getting more and more kills. There's 6 kills already with that 1 Banshee. So even getting going, like the Marine Raven counter, he's still losing just because of this micro from Jinro, and of course the misplacement of that Raven on that rally point. So he lost his entire Marine army, and JSL is really really hurting after that little attack. Another Banshee showing up, and finally JSL is going to show up with his Banshee, but it's a little too late. Those missile turrets are already up. He may be able to pick 1 or 2 SCVs off. He can get a really nice sweet spot, maybe up here somewhere. He's way too close. Oh man, that was just horrible. So JSL just really sucking right there, basically. There's no other way to put it. That was just really bad play. But JSL's even getting some Vikings out, so he does have a Viking count, and that's going to help him be able to deal with these Banshees a little easier. It is a Raven with vision, but I think the Raven is too... It's actually... Is it slower? Yeah, it's 0.5 slower than a Banshee, so the Banshee's going to be able to get away eventually. He has a Scout SCV over here by the middle Xel'Naga Tower repairing a Banshee, and 2 more Vikings showing up. I saw an expansion. We have our second orbital for Jinro is about ready to be placed. Already starting to build some refineries, so he wants that gas going really quickly. We see another factory with a tech lab being placed, so Jinro definitely switching into tank Viking production. He only has 1 barracks, and I think, yeah, just 1 barracks, so definitely switching into the Viking tank build. Using a Hellion to deny that expansion for a little bit. Ended up losing that Hellion, but it gave him the information of that orbital command, and of course this army here, as well as denying it for a couple seconds. So both players getting their expansions up at about the same time, but Jinro's is a little more well built up. It already has a missile turret and 2 refineries going. So Jinro just a little bit ahead at this point. Excuse me. He has more units in general. They have the same number of Vikings. He even has 1 less tank, but actually he has way more Banshees, of course, and more Marines because he didn't lose all those Marines at the beginning. So I think Jinro is just a little bit ahead right now. He's actually, wow, behind in 1 by Harvester, so maybe he lost a little bit of macro. So I thought Jinro had a little bit better advantage after that first attack, but maybe not. But pushing up here, he's got more than enough Vikings scanning. He's going to come in here and try and pick off some units with that Banshee, but sure enough, those Vikings and Raven from JSL shows up. And it looks like Jinro's maybe going to go for some type of attack right here. Throwing down point defense drone. It's kind of denying all those Vikings, and he's forced to land his Vikings. But tanks are sieging. He's going to be able to kill that 1 Viking. No! So close. And JSL playing defensive is not even going to bother chasing that. He's just going to take that little victory, fall back. And at the same time, we had this Banshee in the back. Wow, got a bunch of kills, I think. Actually, that may be the same one from earlier, just being repaired. And he really needs to get out of there because those Vikings and Raven are going to come over there and kill him. Oh, this is not looking good. Oh, JSLzenith going over to the right to try and flank him, but then coming back up and he's going to be able to pick it off. No, he's going to get it. Oh, there he finally gets it. So that hero Banshee with 11 kills finally does drop. Point defense drone still hovering over all the units from JSLzenith. So another expansion, another command center being built by Jinro right outside of his natural. What do we have, more barracks? Yeah, looks like we're going to see some bio switch from Jinro. He just now finished Siege Tech, still building tanks, still building Vikings, so pretty much standard TVT at this point. Now, Jinro does have the middle Xel'Naga Tower here. This is one position for TVT where it kind of messes up the matchup because of the Xel'Naga Tower, you do not need Vikings to give you vision for your tanks. If your tanks are next to the Xel'Naga Tower, they can see plenty far, and you don't even need the Vikings to provide vision. The Vikings only come in handy whenever you need to push outside of the Xel'Naga Tower's vision. So JSLzenith is just going to try and come around and flank him from the other side, just go around the entire army, and Jinro's maybe plopping up behind or not, but Vikings turning around and getting some pot shots off. Point defense drone saving that Raven's life. That's just out of energy, so just to drop him at the same time, JSLzenith is pushing up. He's going to be able to take up this expansion. He's going to have to lift it up and get it out of there. There's so many Marines attacking it. Jinro trying to come in and save his own base. JSLzenith is in a really good position. He is scanning. He's going to see all those tanks appear from the back. And Jinro just lost 2 or 3 tanks right there. He's actually lowering his Vikings to do some attacking. It looks like 3 tanks versus 3 tanks. Vikings landing for each player. And scans going off back and forth. Now it looks like we're in a pretty much of a stalemate. JSLzenith now looking back towards the expansion of Jinro. Jinro did transfer all those SCVs from his expansion, setting up reinforced tanks over here on the left side of the map. He's going to be able to see those tanks. Yes, he does see those tanks, giving himself vision with those Vikings. It looks like JSLzenith has kind of walked himself into a trap, and at the same time, I thought we had some action back here. Maybe I missed that. But Vikings landing, and they're going to be able to pick off that other Viking that just landed. So Jinro actually did do a fairly good job of managing that attack. He brought in the units from behind and set up a contain right here, and then brought in those reinforced tanks from over here, and eventually won that Viking battle to allow him to push on. So let's check the unit Counting stations, so 7 tanks for Jinro, 54 workers, and 44 workers for JSL, and only 2 tanks. So Jinro just came into a huge lead at this point. 16 Marines though for JSL versus only 8 for, actually 11 now for Jinro. So Jinro is in the lead right now in both economy and army. So it's really his game to lose at this point. JSLzenith setting up to build his 3rd base, building it right outside his natural. He has 2 or 3 tanks over here on the right side. That's probably just his rally point. And Jinro is now taking his gold expansion in the middle. That thing's sparking. It's going to have to be repaired. A lot of tanks just being set up by Jinro. He's probably going to try and push up and take that Zelnaga tower back. There are just a few Marines and tanks up there. Sending some SCVs to repair these Vikings just to get those suckers a little bit in better condition. Don't have them breaking down while you're flying. So tanks pushing up here to the right. Going to try and get a 2-prong attack from JSLzenith. It's going to be in range of that. Yes, so he's going to be in range of that command center. Is Jinro actually going to walk into this and attack, or is he just going to fall back and play defensive? He actually knows he's going to commit all his forces to the left side of the map, just completely ignore the right side. At this point, JSLzenith is kind of split up in his army, so he just lost half his army. But at the same time, he's doing a lot of damage to his command center, but those SCVs are repairing like crazy, and Vikings are being sent over there to the right. Marines and tanks on the left side of the map. Vikings are maybe going to come over here and land on those tanks, but that might not be too smart of an idea. Marauders coming to defend, and these tanks are really well spread, so even if they do land, they'll take a lot of damage. So one more tank reinforcing going to come up here and fight off those Marauders, more than likely. SCVs being sent into the fight, and at the same time Jinro flanking from the top, getting tanks in position. JSLzenith is once again trapped, both top and bottom, landing Vikings right on top of those tanks. And Jinro just has, he's kind of just flanked JSLzenith around his own army, using those reinforcements to trap from the bottom and using his army just to come in from the top. More Vikings being brought in, and I think this is going to be the last of JSLzenith right here as soon as he loses these tanks. He only has like 2 or 3 tanks back in his base and a handful of Marauders. But there are just so many tanks here. And he's trying to get in position to siege, but no, with the Zelnaga tower, Jinro can see that well ahead of time, and those tanks are dealing so much damage. And Jinro looks like he's going to be able to take this win. JSLzenith doesn't really have a place to land that expansion, and there we go. JSLzenith leaves the game, so one more win for Jinro. So that was a pretty cool TVT. A little bit basic. I was hoping for something maybe a little more interesting, but you know, what can you do? You cast these games live, or not live, cast the replays without seeing them, and you get what you get. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. I'm going to cast some more games, and later.